Once upon a time, in a remote land surrounded by majestic mountain ranges, there was a small village called Nyange. The village was famous for its lush green fields and crystal-clear streams. However, the village also carried a deep fear due to a terrifying legend, the stone giant who lived atop Mount Majoro. According to the legend, the stone giant, a massive creature with a body as hard as stone and glowing red eyes, had lived for hundreds of years in a deep cave. It was feared not only for its enormous size, but also for its strength, capable of causing great earthquakes if disturbed. Strange noises from the mountain often unsettled the villagers, but no one dared to approach the mountain to confirm the giant's existence. A young girl named Amina, known for her courage and kindness, cared for the sick in the village using herbs she gathered from the deep forest. Amina believed that if danger ever arose, intelligence and patience could solve more problems than fear. She had heard of the stone giant since childhood, but she always thought the stories were mere myths. One day, while Amina was gathering herbs in the forest, a loud explosion suddenly erupted from Mount Majoro, shaking the ground violently. Trees toppled and massive boulders began rolling down from the heights. Fear gripped everyone in the village, and no one knew what to do. No one dared to set foot on Mount Majoro to investigate the true cause of the disturbance. Amid the chaos, Amina made a bold decision. She knew that if no action was taken immediately, the village could be completely destroyed. She stepped forward and declared her intent. "I will go up Mount Majoro to find out what is happening. I believe there is a peaceful solution without resorting to violence." The elder and the villagers were worried, but they could not deter Amina's determination. They had no choice but to wish her luck and pray for her safety. Amina packed her supplies, including the necessary herbs, a small knife for protection, and vines to use if needed. She also brought food and water for the long journey ahead. Amina began her journey at dusk, as the sunlight faded and the sky turned a deep purple. The path up the mountain was treacherous, filled with large rocks and dense foliage. She had to cross small streams, climb steep cliffs, and endure strong winds that swept across the mountain. As night approached, the dim light of the moon barely illuminated the narrow paths. Amina pressed on, step by step, toward the mountain. She felt exhaustion creeping in, but her resolve remained strong. To ward off the cold, she wrapped herself in warm cloths and lit a small fire to keep warm and cook her meal. She continued her trek, and by morning she had reached the entrance of the cave where the legend said the stone giant dwelled. The cave's entrance was vast and cold, made of pitch-black stone. Inside, the deep breaths of the giant echoed like the wind through cracks in the rock. Amina carefully entered, the small lantern she carried casting light on the cave walls, creating flickering shadows. In the dim light, Amina saw the stone giant sitting on a massive boulder, its foot trapped under an enormous rock. Its red eyes glowed with pain and rage. Its body was as hard as stone, and with every movement, a sound like thunder echoed through the cave. The giant roared as it saw Amina approach. "Who dares to invade my home? I will crush you." Amina showed no fear. She stepped closer and spoke calmly. "I am Amina from the village of Nyang. I have come to help you. I see that you are injured and in need of assistance. I mean you no harm." The giant looked at her with suspicion, but it was clear it could not free itself from the heavy rock. "You are a small girl. How could you possibly help me?" the giant asked, skeptical. Amina smiled and replied, "Size is not everything. Intelligence and courage can overcome many challenges that brute strength cannot." After helping the stone giant, Amina decided to stay in the cave for the night, tending to its wounds and ensuring it wouldn't feel lonely. During that time, the giant told Amina about its past, of days when it lived peacefully with other creatures in the mountains, and how loneliness and sadness had turned it angry. Amina listened attentively, sensing the giant's deep sorrow and isolation. She offered advice and encouraged the giant to find joy and purpose in life, urging it to use its strength for good rather than harm. In the following days, Amina helped the giant regain its strength. Not only did she heal its physical wounds, but she also taught it how to care for itself and control its anger. They shared stories about myths and legends from the village, stories that helped Amina better understand the giant's origins. When Amina felt the giant had fully recovered, she decided to return to Niange. Before she left, the giant gave her a sparkling stone, saying it was a piece of its heart and would bring her luck and protection. Amina thanked the giant and promised to use the stone to keep the village safe. Upon her return to the village, Amina was welcomed as a hero. She told the villagers what had happened on Mount Majoro, and they were amazed and touched by her tale. The fear of the stone giant gradually transformed into gratitude and relief. From that day on, the stone giant was no longer a source of fear, but a silent guardian of the village. It not only watched over them from afar, but also aided in emergencies, such as floods or minor earthquakes. Its presence was no longer a threat, but a quiet and dependable protector. The story of Amina and the stone giant spread far and wide, becoming a symbol of courage, wisdom, and compassion. The villagers of Niang held an annual festival to commemorate the event, with rituals and games reenacting Amina's journey and her encounter with the stone giant. Amina continued her work in the village, caring for those in need and passing down the lessons of courage and kindness to future generations. She had learned that strength comes not just from muscle, but from intelligence and compassion. She became a role model for all future generations, proving that a kind heart and a clever mind can overcome any challenge and change the world.